Hi, I'm Dave, welcome to the channel and welcome to the scenery scratch build part 2. And as you can see, this is currently the state of part 2. I thought I'd give you a bit of an insight into how my brain doesn't work. So it's chaos, absolute chaos. Now what there is here, aside from a square, is a set of thoughts. I'll try and... So, a while ago, I can't remember what it was, but something came through the post, and for some reason it came in a box with lots of noise, loads of packing, which was some really good high quality hardboard. So I dug this out because that's been kicking around for a while, and I was thinking about trying to put, as I mentioned before, something across here with some grandstands on. And these are the grandstands. These are the 014 mini spectator stands. You get sort of 4. And as you can see, this is kind of the side of the spectator stand. And it's about that wide. Well, about that wide is there, and then that's a walkway. So I think this is probably, luckily, about the right width to be some spectator stands and a walkway across the top, and I need to fill in some underneath stuff. So I have marked myself a line on here where that piece crosses this piece. So I can cut that off there, and I know where I'm at. I'll have a base piece to go in there. So onwards from there, I have been pulling apart some more 023C modern pits building low relief. Now these got handed to me by Ian at UK Slotfest a couple of years ago, because I said I was going to do a pit lane build at some point, which I still haven't done, but I'm working up to it. And I'm not going to use them as a 2-story building, even in low relief. So I've got the upstairs half of those. And also these come with a whole sheet of completely plain MDF to cut up and do things with, which is brilliant as well. So while I might use the garage doors and the lower support sets for my pit lane build, all of the upper deck stuff I'm not. Now that gives me, I mean, there are these side pieces here, so you see, now there are some inner side pieces because Magnetic Racing always do inner and outer stuff, so you hide all of the nodes with the, you know what I mean. So there's always these extra loads of bits. There's also, the upper deck comes with this kind of, it's not really a shop front, but it's going to be, and a door. So that's great. Oh, probably that way around actually. So my thoughts here at the moment are, I'm going to have a kind of a low relief couple of shop fronts in here, and then in that much distance to cover up the plugs between the height of the platform and the top of the shop front, I'm going to have to build a little bit of, I don't know, superstructure stuff. This is all kind of brutalist concrete structure-y things, so I can come up with some kind of, you know, urban underpassy stuff that goes over the top of the shop. I'm sure we'll work something out. All I've managed to do so far, before I thought I better switch the camera on, is I've taken one of these supports and I've cut the top off it a bit so that it is the right height for where the bridge will go across. So what I'm going to do now, rather than trying to work over there in that awkward space, because round on my workbench, the height to these sockets is the same, I'm going to take this lot off here, take it round the other side of this wall and set it up on the workbench the other side, and then I can probably deal with it a bit better. And we'll go from there. So here we are round the other side from where we were before, just the other side of this wall. As I say, sockets are in the same place. I've got all of this kind of lined up relative to where it would be the other side of this wall. A few things I've done. So these tool bits, taking the tops off here, and these pieces, cut the tops off there and the balconies off. So these are all the same height, but obviously these ones stick out a little bit further than the other ones, which is excellent because I'll try and demonstrate what's going to happen. It'll probably all fall over when I do this, but we'll try anyway. So that will go in there somewhere. That will go in about there somewhere. And there'll be a shop front across there. Like I say, I'll have to invent some superstructure for in here. And then more of the same, but set slightly further back. So I can use the difference in width of this to this to set that shop back from this one as this curve goes round here. So that's the idea there. Couple of doors. This piece will go in across the top. And then I think we're getting somewhere. So I'm going to try and glue all this together and make it a bit more coherent. And then we'll come back and think about what we're going to do next. So that's the two basic shop fronts created. I decided to turn these around so they were vertical in the end rather than coming outwards, and just added another piece of ply from the kit that just happened to be the same width, because obviously we're not changing the widths here, we're just changing depths and things, so various bits all just fit together. So I have a more slender one and a wider one. They will sit like that. This will go on the top here somewhere like this. Now I need to come up with some kind of support system for this, because let's face it, we need to follow a certain amount of physics, even though we are just building models. So again, pieces from the upstairs part of the gantry kits are these. So I think I might try and put these brackets, you know, so they support that somehow. And we'll go from there. And then when I get to the corner one, because obviously this is going to be a little bit tighter around there, again, some more bits from the kit. I think we can make some little sort of brutalist concrete brackets under there or something. I don't know. Like I say, I'm making it up as I go along. So, oh, I might also put, because I've still got some of these ribs, I might put some sills in there and maybe a bit of trim up here, something like that. I don't know, we'll have a go, and then we'll see what happens. So moving on a bit, and for the time being I've put some of these lead wheel weights in here just to hold this, because it's a bit tippy. But as you can see, there's now a gantry across here, which, put these back in here for a minute. Will now support this, which is why you can see I've got the weights in, because it is a bit lean forward. I don't want to glue it to the baseboard just yet because I've got more things to do. Now the next things to do is, well, really is to put a handrail around the edge of here. And to do that, I'm going to, as I've said before about these, keep the sprues, they're always useful. So you can harvest all of these bits from here. And obviously they're good for handrails, so I do quite a bit of that. I've got a fair few of these I can pull out and use, and I'll create the handrail around the edge, and then we'll see about the stands and seating above. So I'll be back hopefully with a handrail fairly soon. So then here I am back again as promised with a handrail which is completely scratch built from bits of sprue. You can see here I've got an upstand around the front. There's a load of little upright posts, and then I've got a centre rail and a top rail which I've made out of two pieces, so I get a little bit of a down stand. You probably can't see it, but it's there. And that all fits quite neatly on the top of there, and it was, of course, completely free, because those sprues I showed you earlier now look like this. I've harvested all of those cross pieces off all of them for this. And because Ian and Doug, when they do the CAD drawings and burn their kits, are creatures of habit, you'll find often pieces of sprue have the same widths because they space things out the same. To the edge is a common one as well. That's usually like 3mm. So when I ran out of bits of this for these uprights, it turned out that this flag wavers post, old bits of sprue, this is the same width as some of these pieces were, so I harvested a few. So you can do that, never throw anything away, you'll always find a use for it, guaranteed. So this now means we move on to what we're going to do about some seating up here for some spectators. And I have got, as I mentioned before, the 014 mini spectator stands, of which you get 4 sets. And they're here, so I guess they'll sit along here somewhere. I'm going to rough build one up and see how it fits. You know, not glue it together, just loose fit it. See how it fits in here and see if I'm going to use them as is or whether I'm going to bash them up a bit and modify them slightly. So we'll see how that goes. So as you can see, I ended up building 4 sets, well, 2 pairs, which is half the kit. You get twice as many as that in the whole set when you buy them. Haven't put the steps in yet, but there's a reason for that. There's always a reason for something, isn't there? So, as you can see, these come on a baseboard with steps in the middle and curved ends. Now, that's not going to work. I need longer than that, so I've kind of gone for 4. And the way I've done that is, before I put these together, I cut the curved bits off there. And I cut the middle out of there, so I can therefore join them all together like that. Have the ends on the ends, the square bits in the middle. I can put some steps in there. I don't mind if people walk along further. Nobody really cares. It's not the real world. But this then means that this whole thing will fit inside there like that. There's a little bit of overhang. What, 15 millimeters or so, which will go on to the roof of the other building. I can trim this back as well while we're here. And I think it's going to cover up the sockets quite nicely. Let me take you around the other side and I'll show you. So back around the other side of the wall, where it's actually going to be, there's the rest of the structure all in place. And if I put these just there like that, you can see we are now fully disguising the sockets. But I'm going to stick the benches down onto this and just make the whole thing lift off as one piece. And then I can get to the sockets to plug things in and switch things on and off. So that's my plan. The next thing I really need to do is just finish off the little bit of fencing across here and trim around this edge here. And I need to kind of just paint this up. That's definitely where we're going next. So, back in a bit. So time has passed, and here we are back again. I've got all this glued together, painted up. It's all one big solid piece, just with that little overhang there that I was talking about. So that's all good to go, and it does just cover up the sockets properly. So that's all gone to plan quite nicely. And then I'm still using these wheel weights in here. There we are. I've just kind of put some rough colour on here. I think what's left for this video is just to cover this up, make this concrete, highlight these steels a little bit, and put some plain colours on some shop fronts, maybe some glass in here, and put the doors on, of course. And then I think that'll probably be our 20 minutes for part 2 of this video. And then part 3, well, we've got to sort out this baseboard, and I'm going to have to people all of this up. So maybe that's what will happen in part 3. So finish off the elevations, and then we'll call it a day. So here we are, we're now well over 20 minutes in this part 2, so we'll have to have a part 3. And here's where we've got to. This piece on the top is all glued together and does hide the sockets nicely. I did my usual trick that I've done everywhere else of printing out some concrete texture and just sticking it on like wallpaper onto this upper section, and then down below here we have got 2 empty shop fronts at the moment, which are going to need window dressing and things. What colours are they? Well, they're 2 more colours of paint that I just found in my shed, much like this blue was. This green is actually the colour I painted the outside of the slot shed, so there's possibilities there in the future. As always, thanks for watching one of my videos. If you liked it, you will find a button specifically for that. Please subscribe to the channel, it really does help, and it helps the algorithm, and it's free. And as always, check out this slot car channel.